This PSA was brought to you by the Peter G Show.
You may have second thoughts after this show.
Don't drink the faucet. We're really talented. We should get Oscars.
Just pick out a car, for Christ's sake.
No, my name is Peter. Yeah, I want. Here's good.
Yeah.
Madam Perry.
I need to get back in the genie bottle.
Louis from Pennsylvania, you're on. He likes it. It's showtime.
Peter G Show, divorce dad, single dad, divorce dad, single dad, Peter G Show.
Oh yeah, it's showtime. It certainly is. Wednesday, right here, coming at you. Life with Peter G, the Peter G Show. I want to thank everybody and welcome everybody for tuning in and who will be tuning in and who will be listening and watching in the future. You've come to the right place. Every Wednesday like clockwork, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, and 9 p.m. on the East Coast. And that is definitely, God willing, right here. And I'm glad you made it. We got a great show for you tonight. We really do. Tonight, I have international best-selling author. She's got 5 books. Miss Kimberly R. Morgan's going to be on this show. I'm going to be talking to her and touching on all of these books, plus herself, her life story, plus the ordinary banter that goes on. Will be all over the map, but I'm going to tell you right now, I promise you it's going to be interesting. It will, because she's deep from the Southland. And I'm going to make her say words that really bend the vocabulary. Tonight, right here. I promise you, it's going to be fun. Hope everybody's doing well. How the hell is everybody? You know, it takes a lot of determination to show up. And showing up is half of the chore. And when you do, I deeply appreciate it. Also, while we're at it tonight, I want to remind you, next week, like telling you at the beginning of the show and at the end of the show, just to throw it in there because I can, Wednesday, April 15th, right here on this show, as always, right here on this show, comedian and philosopher, Mr. Rodney Norman's going to be on the show. He's been on the show in the past, but what better time to bring him on the show to lighten up your spirits on income tax day? So he's going to be right here on this show, comedian and philosopher, because he has a philosophy about life in general. He's been on the show. This might be his 3rd appearance, I think. I love Rodney. He has a very uplifting point of view to everything in a kind of confusing way, but it makes a whole lot of sense, if that makes any sense. Those of you who've seen him in the past, maybe you've caught him on the internet. You know, he's all over the place, but he's going to be on this show. So mark it on your calendars. Wednesday, April 15th, right here on Life of Peter G, the Peter G Show. Comedian and philosopher Rodney Norman, right here, April 15th, Wednesday, April 15th, tax day, to lighten up your spirits. Everybody needs a good laugh, even when you're crying. So stay tuned for that. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't spoken to him in quite a while, and it'll be good to catch up. So join me, will you? All right. I think I want to, what do I want to do? That's what I want to do. Before we get things going, I think, you know, especially if you've been tuning in lately, I've been starting out the shows with a little bit of spiritual enlightenment, you know, to see how your energy is going, how all of our energy is going in the universe. And what better way to start the show than with a little bit of astrological, you know, reading from Moon Mistress Tarot. So I'll be back in a minute. Let her tell us what's going on for this week in our lives. up in the universe, okay? Because we're all one. The one is all, the all is one. Take it away, Moon Mistress.
Hello, my loves. Happy April, and welcome to the Fire of Aries. This month, my darling, mark your calendar. The 16th and the 17th planets are going to be joining in Aries, and it's going to bring a lot of fire. So if there's something that you're waiting for, the momentum for a spark, it's going to happen during those 2 days, my darlings. So set your intentions and watch the sparks fly. Woo! Speaking of sparks, Six of Swords means you are moving on. Exactly. Forward movement, my darlings, leaving something behind. It could also be a new business venture that wants to come through for you also. And you may definitely be walking away from something that is preventing you from reaching what you want, your desires, your dreams. Leave something that's not serving you anymore, my darlings. To find out how all this is going to affect your sign, moonmistresstarot.com, my loves. And as always, enjoy your week. And back to you, Peter.
That's right. Back to me, Peter. Thank you, Moon Mistress Tarot. Hey, to find out more about your astrological journey and your cosmic connection, go to moonmistresstarot.com, get a reading, see where you're at. It's good for the soul, all right? I do. I don't know if it helps me or not because I'm kind of messed up, but I try and I put in the work. All right, where are we at? I tell you, it's really great to be here tonight. It is. It really is. I'm excited. I've been excited all day. I love doing the show. Always have great people on the show, fun to talk to. And again, it's entertainment with a purpose right here. Who could ask for more, right? Hey, so a couple of things before we bring Kimberly on. I just want to talk to you about the week of life. Last week was American Easter. I hope everybody had a blessed and wonderful Easter. I really do. And I do say, when I say American Easter, I say that because for a lot of you that know that I'm Greek Orthodox, and the Greeks run by a different calendar. And I've said it before, and I'll probably continually say it because there's always new people popping in. But the Catholics changed the calendar. It's all about when Lent actually starts. And there's been this big discrepancy. And I always mention it because I think it's kind of important. And I'll tell you why in a minute. But there's this discrepancy as to when Lent actually starts. And the Jewish calendar follows the old biblical way it all started out. And we stick to that calendar because we're in agreement as to when Lent starts. So sometimes Orthodox Easter and a Catholic Easter or Americanized Easter starts at the same time. Sometimes Orthodox Easter can be a week apart, which it is this time. There's times when Greek Easter or Orthodox Easter can be 3 weeks from the past American Easter. And it's when I was growing up as a kid, it was a real pain in the neck because I felt weird. I'm in school and they're all talking about Easter and I'm like faking it because, I didn't think anybody would understand. Now that I'm older, it doesn't really matter. I mean, a lot of people still don't understand, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, do what you will. But Easter, the reason I talk about this stuff is because, again, I have told the whole story on how serious my parents, my father especially, took Easter. Easter was his most holiest holiday, more than Christmas, more than birthdays, more than anything. And I've told the story how I've gotten my ass kicked as a younger child for being late for Easter dinner. My father would get a couple of pops in him because it was Easter. And then where the hell is Peter? And I was out running around as a kid, it was just Easter to me. But it was a serious holiday for him, and he came looking for me a couple of times. Well, it took me twice, two times of messing up to get it right, but I don't think I ever screwed up again. But it's a big holiday. And again, for those of you who just celebrated Easter, it is a big holiday, and I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday with family. And if if it was just another day or you weren't surrounded by family or this and that, just be thankful. That's all. I get up every day and I'm just grateful to be able to wake up. A lot of people did not get that luxury of the gift of waking up. Even if you have the worst day in your life, it could get a lot worse. I mean, depends how you look at it. But so I'm grateful. But I will be officially within celebrating Easter this coming Sunday. Where's my calendar? October, April 12th. April 12th is the official Orthodox Easter. So I just thought I always dump that in because we as adults, I mean, it's good to know things. That's all. You know, I've learned so much just from doing this show that, you know, I appreciate the as you get old, you know, when you're younger, you're just going through life. You don't care, but you know, just whatever. You're just floating through life. I loved floating through life, not caring. It was great. But now it's kind of time, like there's a certain time in your life, you got to care about certain things. You have children, you want to raise them right, or do the best to your ability at least. You can only try. Sometimes, no matter how hard you try, it goes different directions, and we talk about that a lot on my show too. So that's why I'm just grateful to be grateful for all my friends and what little family I have. A lot of my friends are as close to family to me, and I am very grateful for that. So hope you enjoyed it. Where are we at? Oh, a little story. Oh, here, look. Let's see. Our first comment of the evening could be the only one. Who knows? It's kind of quiet. Happy Easter, Peter. Well, thank you, David. I can't say gobble, gobble, gobble. What does a bunny make? Hoppity, hoppity, hop? But you know, we have this discrepancy as to when Christ, you know, had risen, and he's already alive, and I'm kind of in a rock and a hard place here because I need him to like hold off for a few more days. Just chill out for a few more days, and you can rise again. Jalapeno, halitosis. How'd he do that? It's a magic trick. A little story, quick story. Yesterday, I managed to get myself, and for the life of me, this is just a mind boggler because, you know, I always bitch about TikTok. They've banned me, my official, after 4 years and 5,000 or 6,000 videos. They banned my account because they're so horrible when it comes to stifling free speech. And I don't really do anything that radical, but their AI bots just have gotten it, and they took me out. I tried again. Within 2 weeks, they took me out. I gave up. I have a pseudonym that I put a few clips on, but it's not the Peter G Show anymore on there. And I don't care. I've just, you know, since Larry Ellison bought TikTok, I bitched about that a few weeks ago. I'm just over it. They've made it worse. I think we had more freedom of speech when the Chinese owned it. So that's one thing. But some way, shape, or form, doing exactly what I do on every platform, good or bad, it's really not that harsh, but I managed to get myself banned. I mean, banned. I can't seem to get through to them now. From X, the free speech platform, X. They said after numerous complaints or violations or this and that, and they just, no warning out of the blue. I swear I never had any warnings or anything. They just completely took me off the air. So I called my daughter. And I said, hey, guess what? I said, I got banned from X. And there was dead silence on the phone. And all of a sudden I hear her cracking up. She says, how do you get banned on X? I said, I don't know. She says, Dad, ISIS is on X, and you're getting banned. And she's just enjoying the moment. Personally, I didn't think it was that funny, but I digress. And I said, I don't know. And she said, Dad, that's him almost. She says, you got to do something really wrong to get banned on X. And I said, you're probably right, and I don't understand what's going on. And I can't get through to these people to like, hey, something's wrong here. But I got banned on X. So my account is like kaput until further notice, or if any. Just wanted to share that with you because, again, you know, I bitch about TikTok and I definitely bitch about the tube. I try to stay relevant on YouTube. I really do, but they let me live, but they cut my oxygen down to minimum breath. but I stay on there. So that was kind of weird. But that's what's going on, really. It's kind of sucks. But I thought, of all places, the free speech platform, that's not the one. And I'm just going to have to deal with it, But again, whatever. I'll live, I guess. All right. So, look, we're going to shift gears because I'm told to. We're going to be bringing on Miss Kimberly R. Morgan, international best-selling author, on this show in just a couple of minutes. First, we need to hear from my good friends over at Clean Start Product with their money-saving fuel additive, DX1 Driver, and then we're going to get to Kimberly and see what's going on, all right? I'll be right back. You just stay right there.
Hello, I'm Tyrone Thompson of CleanStarProducts.com. This is DX1 Driver in the news, and here's what our friends have to say.
So I'm here to recap on the DX1 I've used. I put it in the oil and I put it in the gas. While I'm using it just for about 3 tanks. Cleaned everything out. I got every ounce of power back in my truck.
When Jared's truck was new, it had a lot of power. Then over time, it began to slow down. He got it all back with our DX1 Driver program.
Something you got to see for yourself. It's a great product. It's affordable. And it blows all the other additives and esters out of the water.
DX1 Driver is the finest oil in the world from a California environmental company. It goes into the fuel system and the oil. It's the only green grade product qualified for the carbon credits program, giving you better fuel mileage, lower emissions, and increased horsepower. So join the fuel savings revolution today. Go to CleanStarProducts.com/shop.
That's right, CleanStarProducts.com. I can tell you all about it in 2 words. It works. It really does. I use it myself. Wouldn't have believed it. It's a lot of snake oil out there, but he said, here, check this out. I did. I noticed the difference within about 3 to 4 tankfuls. It's very, very simple. It's packaged a little bit differently now, but I stick to this because it's right here in front of me. This little itty bitty bottle goes into your average 4-door sedan. It's really great on high mileage vehicles, especially. But you just pour one of these when you get a clean oil change. When you go to change your oil every 6,000 miles, whatever it is, you pour one of these or have the service attendant add this to the oil. It's only 4 ounces, whatever it is. And then when you go to fill up your tank from a near empty fuel tank, you pour one of these little bottles into the tank, fill up your tank with fuel, and drive. It's that simple. And then when you run out of fuel again, you take the second bottle and you put it in. I'm telling you, I noticed the difference. I drive a V8. It's a heavy vehicle. It's also got a lot of miles on it. It's a great vehicle, though. And notice the difference. My daughter even noticed the difference when she borrows it. And she says, I can tell. You don't have to put your foot in the gas. But don't. Why believe me? Don't believe me. Go to their website, www.cleanstarproducts. There's a phone number you can even call. They will talk to you in person. In fact, they really prefer you talk to them in person. They do. They like to answer your questions personally. It's just simple. I know nowadays in this modern age, nobody wants to pick up the phone. Everybody wants to click and do something. But they're kind of old school because they believe in the personal touch, They're people. You can relate to that, right? We've lost that charm. But talk to them. And again, after you talk to them, should you decide to order, you mention, this is the important part, mention you saw it on the Peter G Show, and they will send you 5 bottles for the price of 4. I know, crazy. 5 bottles for the price of 4. And this makes a great starter kit. And I'm going to tell you why. You put the first one of them into the clean oil change. When you put it in new oil, then you're good to go for 5,000-6,000 miles. If you have a Mercedes, a Bentley, or something like that, it's 10,000 miles, right? And then you have 4 bottles left. That's a great starter kit because every tank of gas, you put a bottle into that tank. You will notice the difference. Good food, good body. It cleans everything out. More lubricity in the engine when you put it in the oil. It just makes everything run better. I mean, why wouldn't you want that? And again, repair bills are costly. I know a lot of you know how much repair bills cost. You don't start bitching until you got to go, your car breaks down. So take care of your car. It's that simple. Again, give them a call, speak to them, you decide you want to order, mention you saw it on the Peter G Show. That's the biggie right there. And they will send you, they'll go, oh, okay, you're in for the 5 for 4 deal. 5 for 4. Hey, there we go. It's that simple. All right. I'm telling you, it made a believer out of me, and I'm an avid user of it because I don't like things nowadays. The new cars and all that, they just don't make things like they used to. Everything, once you go in the shop, you don't get out for a diagnosis for less than $500. Let alone then they don't fix things, they replace nowadays. Nothing's made to be fixed anymore. They just replace. And I hope you have a good job. That's all I can tell you, because cars are expensive. So take care of your car. It's real simple. All right. Let's shift gears again. And first off, let's perform our little take a sip, because I want to get good and ready here. But I want to thank everybody for watching. For those who watch, for those who are watching in the near future, share. That's the best thing you can do. Take these shows. If you believe that somebody needs to see this certain topic, again, we have over 400 shows. There's a topic for everything, just about. And if there isn't, email me and tell me what I need to talk about, and I'll do it. Don't threaten me. I'll do it. But thank you for watching. Share, subscribe, hit the follow button on Facebook. Facebook's doing great. Thank you, all you Facebookers. Almost 100,000 followers, but over 500,000 views a month, and that's nothing to shake a stick at. I wish YouTube would allow that. Hit subscribe on YouTube. Just because they're battling me doesn't mean that we can't beat them at their own game. So, salute. Smooth. Oh boy, isn't that right, Butthead?
Smooth.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Get the chills. All right, I think we're cranking now. We're just getting ready to fire it up. Heart starts beating a little bit faster, knowing that moment is about to approach right now. We're fixing to have us some fun and talk about some really great stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, she's from the deep south. She's been at it for quite a while, and she's got some books. She's set her mark on, hey, I can write books. And we're going to talk about quite a few of them, and plus a bunch of other things. She's had a hell of a life, a lot of ups and downs, and lived to tell about them. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, international best-selling author, Miss Kimberly R. Morgan. Hey,
Peter G.
Peter G.
Peter G.
How are you?
I'm doing well, and how are you?
I'm good. A little nervous, are you?
A little bit, just a little.
Well, we'll shake that off in a quick. Before you know it, you'll forget that you're even on the show. Like I told you earlier, don't mind us. It's just you, me, and 3 million of my closest friends just having a little chat. So
all right.
Yeah, so it's all good. So I'm really glad that we've talked about this for months now, about getting you on the show, and you're finally here to get on the show. Why don't you do my audience a favor and take a quick minute and give everybody a brief synopsis on who you are and what you do and what you're doing, and then I'm going to be all over the map with you, but I'll try to stay on track. But tell them in your own words, what's going on with you and who you are.
I started writing in 2012 after spending 7 years on the North Slope of Alaska. 2 of those years were spent in a remote Inupiat village of 300 people, and that's where the book Sands of the Midnight Suns came in. I tell people the book is 80% nonfiction. What you think possibly cannot be true in that book is actually true. It was quite a 2-year adventure. I never thought really about writing. I wrote quite a bit in high school, but I used to write in my friends' birthday cards and things, and they would be weeping. I'd try to write something sweet that they could remember. And my late husband would say, I don't care if you ever get published, just write something. So I started in Anchorage, Alaska, writing Sins of the Midnight Suns, and it did very well. Some of the guys told my husband, said, tell your wife don't write any more books about Alaska. Not only can I not vacation there, I most certainly can't work there anymore, because it is a tell-all book of what it's like to work in those remote villages. And I was surrounded by 150 men daily. So I got a lot of stories to tell. And as time progressed, my husband passed away in 2014. He had his first heart attack when we were married only 9 months. So from that progressed, writing the first 2 Capos Prayer books. I did those in 9 months. And family felt like I needed to get out of the house. And that's what started my medical career as a medical assistant. And this is kind of where I'm at today. And I moved to Florida in 2023. Very happy that I did. I love it here. Absolutely love it.
Okay. Well, and I didn't. What I should have done is, like I said, you do have books. You got your Capos Prayer. You got 1, 2, 3. It's a trilogy, what you call it, right? And
Yes.
and you wrote all three of these in 9 months.
I wrote the first 2 in 9 months, and the last one, I think I finished it in 2023, right before I moved to Florida. I really had never planned on doing but one book. The first book is what became the international bestseller. I stayed in the first place for over 6 weeks on Amazon in the Italian market dramas, and I was exceptionally pleased with that. I really couldn't believe it. So everybody like, oh, you got to do another one. So I did the second one, and they're like, oh, you got to do a third one. And so finally I kind of ended that. And then the second book, Sins was my first, and then I did The Widow's Wishes, is basically for family and friends who knew Steve and what an incredible person he was. And that's more what that book is about. And then the Capos Prayer came about.
Wow. I mean, so okay, but I meant to ask you this, I forgot. So you got these 2, and they're kind of identical, but with different covers. I mean, they kind of have a lot in common. And then
If you look at that second cover, you'll see there's a little scorpion on the hand coming down, which is very relevant in the book. Yeah, it's a little bit darker. There's a lot of surprises in the second book, and it did well also. The first 2 did incredibly well, and I'm very pleased.
But when we got to the third book, like, this book is a 2/3 larger than what brought that on?
Amazon changed their sizing of their books, and the other person you see on the book is my ex-brother-in-law. He wrote the dark poetry that's in the books. So because of his name, and they sized it different. So there I am.
Okay, because I'm going. I'm always curious, because I get all kinds of books in all kinds of sizes. Sometimes I get these books that are like micro, and like the writing is so small, and I don't know if it's budget or what. And so and then I got this one. I go, I only have one other book that's this size that's coming on. That I have a guest that's coming on in June, I believe. And I was just curious. I said, did you have that many words that you had to have bigger page? Or
like I said, I really wasn't happy with their sizing, and we kept working at it, and we just never got it down to this. And as you notice, I write books that can be read in 3 or 4 hours. You sit on a plane, you got a 5 or 6 hour plane trip, you can finish my books. I don't have enough time to write those gigantic books. So I'll write, and people don't have time. And most people tell me that when they start reading, and I do try to put something on every page that you just simply cannot put down. If anything, I can write emotion. I may not can do a lot of things, but I most certainly can write emotion.
Okay, but this brings me back to what possessed you or influenced you to actually say, I want to, I mean, besides your husband, you know, I mean, you kind of touched on that a little bit in the beginning here, but I mean, to actually write a book, because I think I got 3 books in me of life, but I just haven't done it. What got you off your butt and the process? Because did you have prior experience as to how to write a book and how to get it published?
Absolutely not. And when I wrote Sands, I did a lot of research on literary companies and what they wanted. And they said most literary agencies want about 5 chapters. So I found I sent out a lot of 5 chapters to agencies. And then I was in Anchorage, Alaska at the time, and my phone rang at 6:30 a.m. in the morning, and I panicked because I thought there's something wrong back home. That's the only
Yeah.
reason my phone would be ringing. And it was a literary agency, reputable agency. And of course, they were 3 hours ahead, and they didn't think about me
Right.
being asleep at 6:30. So I answered the phone, and they told me who they were, and they said, "We love what you've written." So I started working with an editor, signed a contract, and about 3 months into it, they said, "This is so fascinating. We want you to name the real companies, the people." And I said, "I absolutely can't do that." I said, "It's going to hurt a lot of innocent people, wives, children." It's an adult playground on the North Slope. People want to just brush it off, but you got men that's up there for 3 months at a time. And the weather alone is brutal, but it is an adult playground. And so and they said, "Well," I said, "just release me from a contract." So about 30 days, I got my contract back. And in roundabout way, it said, "Because you won't do what we ask you to do, we're releasing you." And that was the best thing ever, because then I took control of my book, of the material, and the picture on the front cover of that is an actual photograph of 5 men on the North Slope of Alaska. And I got a doctor of geology over in Canada gave me permission to use the picture, but that is, and it was perfect because there's 5 guys in the book, and it couldn't have been any better.
Well, again, I haven't shown the book, but I did take to this book. It seems like a pretty interesting book.
The
And
sun
this
was
is-
just coming up on the North Slope in May, coming out of that dark era.
and it seems to be your thickest book at that. There's more pages to the book. So this
Yes,
is
that was a little longer.
I get it. But you're saying it's an adult playground up there in the North Slope of Alaska, and I'm thinking there's hardly any people up there. I mean, are they banging
Well,
walruses
you've
or
got
what?
you've got school teachers that come up from the lower 48. You've got people who work in the kitchens. Um, but yes, it's mostly men, wives. I'm surprised that I got to go. The company actually rented us a home there, and I got to go and be with Steve during that time. But most of the men stay in a camp, and they call it like a hotel, but there's 2 men to each room. It's very small. They shower in community shower. I mean, it's not a glamorous life, but there's a lot that goes on. And in the book, I have most certainly detailed the seedy, dark side of what it's like to work on the North Slope of Alaska.
And how did you witness or hear of all this shenanigans?
I was in the middle of it. Like I said, I ate dinner every night with 150 men.
Oh,
And once they got acclimated to me, I can't say that they was really happy that I was there. They toned their behavior down until I became kind of a permanent fixture, because I was there 2 years. And I got to listening to them. Most of them were married. I knew if they were sleeping with the girl that washed the dishes there. Usually it was a native girl. And some of the guys would do the mail order bride that weren't married, and they'd have them come over. But if a man had a wife, she had to work in the camp. Now I didn't, but they would have to clean the rooms, and it was a once in a lifetime adventure. But I can say once in a lifetime would be all I would want. Because 2 years was tough. We came home we took a 2-week R&R about every 5 months. And I've seen 80 below zero, wind gusting 50, 60 miles an hour. And let me tell you, it's pretty tough.
Friggin' Alaska. Yeah, who the hell wants to be up there? But, there's money up there in oil and things like that. And
It is. And what a lot of people don't know, as far as I know, I was the first white woman that ever worked for a native corporation up there. I was really bored at home, and this is interesting. They asked me, could I set up a filing system? And I said, sure. And they took me to a back room, and I kid you not, there was these long tables, and there was files from 1971. Took me 5 months, and that would have been in the year 2000. And I started their filing system for them.
So this book that's specifically about your living in Alaska for 2 years, did you just write everything off the top of your head, or did you start taking notes?
I wrote everything. It was very memorable.
All right.
Very. I just when I got to Anchorage after we left, we'd been off the slope for several years because I've been all over the state of Alaska, lived all over the state for 7 years.
Yeah.
So I just started writing. And the most unbelievable parts is what happens on the North Slope of Alaska. There's 7 villages up there. The companies were there to run water lines at that time. There was no water in the house. And so it was, but we did have running water, and Steve fixed it where there was a indoor bathroom. I didn't have to use the honey bucket, which is a 5-gallon bucket with a commode lid on top. I was like, no, I'm not coming till you get a real bath, a real commode in the home.
They had hot water? Hot water?
Yes, yes. They come in and they would fill a big, huge tank in our utility room out of the Colville River is where our water came from. And they would fill it up. Now, for us, it was $75 to fill it up each time because of who we were and the company. We were taken very, very good care of. And because I did laundry every day, 2 or 3 showers a day. So it didn't take long for us to run through that big tank of water. But the water truck would come about 3 or 4 times a week and fill up for us. And a lot of people don't realize that's how you make it up there. And it's a different, very different world.
I got you. Well, I'm sure it is. But I was just, again, because you went from a certain style of writing with your, and we'll get into this with your Capo's prayer, which is more of a mafioso type thing, to a tell-all about the real life behind the scenes of being up in a secluded area, and you also have a book of your own that it's a kind of your not a life story, but a big portion of your life story,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, 22 years are in that book.
Right.
It's how Stephen and I met, and the last days that he lived. Like I said, he had his first heart attack. We would have been married only 9 months. And it was a massive heart attack. And had we not lived as close as we did to the hospital at that time, he would not have made it. Matter of fact, they flew him the next day to Baptist in Little Rock. It was very cathartic to write that book. He has grandchildren and great grandchildren that will never know him and
Sure.
never know what an absolutely unique, wonderful man. I know when he passed there in surgery and the doctor come out to tell me, and some of his staff was there with me. I mean, yes, I fell apart, and I looked at Dr. Lazar. He told me he had never lost a patient in 14 years. But I looked at him and I said, you have no idea who you have on that table back there. What an incredible man that just passed away. I said, and he even told me, he said, Miss Morgan, we normally do, chest compressions, all that for about 45 minutes. And he said, I've been doing it 2 hours on Mr. Morgan. And he said, I'll keep on if you want. And I said, no. And I never thought, I knew he was older than I was. I knew if nature took its course, he naturally he'd pass before me. But I never thought I'd have to make that decision to take my husband off life support. And but he told me if he had have made it, he would not have been the same. And I knew how Stephen felt about that. He would have been furious with me to keep him alive on a machine. So I made that decision, to take him off. And it took me about 5 years to get my bearings back. And because he had the heart situation, we talked periodically, that what if. And he said, I know when I pass, you're just going to lay down. And he said, you're just going to lay down on life. And he said, it's okay, but you can't stay there. And he was true, but I stayed there a little longer than I probably should have. Like I said, I got down to a size 0, 1. I couldn't wear any of my clothes. They just fell off of me. And I was just wasting away each day. And then finally, family pulled me out and said, you're coming to work at the clinic. And I got my bearings back. And it doesn't take long for you to appreciate the life you have till you work in medical. And I know the first lady I saw in medical, she had lost her son. She had some additional issues. And I looked and I thought, by the grace of God, look, you're not in her shoes. Yes, you've lost in your mind everything, but she truly has lost everything. And I gradually started climbing out of that hole. And I just tell people, you don't ever get over someone passing away, but the pain becomes manageable. And then you go on with your life.
Learn to live with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the widow's wishes. How long after when you wrote this book?
Oh, let's see. Probably 4 or 5 years. I know. For the longest, I kept saying, I wish. And somebody made the comment, that's a book, The Widow's Wishes. And I don't even like using the term widow. I don't even like when, like Facebook, I just got single. I don't put widow because I hate that word. I don't know why, but I really do. But it fit the book, The Widow's Wishes, because I do that for a long time. I lived in that realm of wishing, and wishing didn't bring back nothing,
Right. But I mean, at least you got 22 happy. It sounds like you had a great marriage, which
Peter, it was a 22-year love affair. And you'd be surprised. I have paid a price for having a very successful marriage. I have men who have told me, I'm jealous of what you had with your husband, so therefore I can't be with you. And I kid you not. If someone, and usually when you date someone or someone asks you out for the first time, they want to know, are you divorced? Do you blah, blah. And then I say, no, my husband passed away. They want to know why. And they'll say, were you happy? Well, I was incredible. We were incredible. We were each other's best friends. So yes, I light up, and then men don't like it. So here I am 11 and a half years, I'm still single, and I'm not looking for another Steve Morgan. That's not fair to me, not fair to the person I would be dating. And I wish people could understand, men, that I am able to love again because of him. He taught me what unconditional love was. I thought I knew, but he taught me. And like I said, 22 years went by in a flash, and it was wonderful. It was the adventure of a lifetime. And like I said, we were each other's best friend. And for a long time, I didn't think I could even breathe, without him. And, but life goes on. And I know there's times he'd be disappointed in me that I've had it so hard getting beyond him, because that's not what he wanted. He wanted me to have a life and be happy, and I'm there now.
Well, I'm glad for that. But I mean, that can destroy you. A lot of people, when they fall on to leaning on somebody or with somebody, and, it's like, what do I do now? And it's your own head that does the damage. I mean, obviously, but most people can't stay married 5 years, it just in this day and age. So even though you got cut off more than you should, you probably endured as much happiness as some people that could ever wish they had, which is a big shoe to fill. But and that may be but that's the guy's problem if they can't see beyond that.
Yeah. Peter, I as I get older and I age, and Stephen was the type of man, he wanted to die with no regrets. He taught me how to live life with no regrets. And I have most certainly trying to do that. And having said that, it's been a roller coaster. I didn't think I tell people I have survived what I thought would kill me. I didn't know it was going to be as hard being without him because we traveled. So yes, we had our work family, or he did, and I stayed home. But we were all each other had. And at the end of the day, he worked. He got up, he left the house at 5:15 in the morning. He had a staff meeting he had at 6. Guys were out on the job at 7. He'd get home 6:30 or 7 at night. But one of my favorite memories is we would go to eat dinner, and we had a favorite Italian restaurant that we would go to. And it was rare that we got some time together, but we would go sit down at the high top bars in the restaurant there. And the waitress come by like, oh, what you want to drink? And we would place her drink order. And then when she gave her drink, she'd say, don't you want to order something? And Steve would say, I haven't seen her all day. Give me just about 20 minutes to talk to her. And this was after we'd been married 20 years, and I just would look across the table, and I would just think this, he was, even though my day wasn't just wonderful, I mean, because I was at home, but he'd always say, just give me 20 minutes to talk to her. I haven't seen her all day. So,
and you have 3 kids too, right?
No, I got one daughter, biological daughter of mine, and Steve has 2 daughters. Okay. And he had a son, his firstborn, who actually died in a plane crash when he was 20. And I learned a lot from Steve about death, about dealing with his son and how he dealt with it, and how you move beyond losing a child, which I think is truly the most, I don't know how parents ever survive that. But he taught me a lot about death, and not to be afraid of it, and not be afraid to ask. I know a lot of people they'll ask about Steve, and they go, oh, I don't want to make you sad. It makes me smile when somebody asks about him, because his life mattered. Just like my parents, they asked about parents. My parents' life mattered. I don't break up and cry because you ask about him.
So, but with that many years, so even though he had 2 children prior, you must have been kind of good with them. I mean, were they good with you, and vice versa?
Yeah, I mean, we were a little closer in age, I think, than they, especially. And then they were like, I don't mind saying, Stephen was 15 years older than I was, and it was never an issue, not ever. But a few days before he passed, he was in the hospital, and I normally would always call his children and say, your dad's sick. And he made me promise right then. He said, do not call the girls. And I said, why? He said, I'm going to be fine. They're working. They got this. They got the kids. Do not worry him with this. Had I even remotely thought that he wouldn't come out of that, it would have been, I would have went against his wishes. But he was very adamant. And sometimes I think now, looking back, there were so many signs. I think 2 weeks before he passed, I look back now and I think he knew the end was coming pretty soon. And even though he worked every day, he worked from the hospital bed 2 days before he passed. I think he thought he did not want his children there to see that and be a part of that. And I get it. And he loved his kids dearly, and he protected them a lot, whether they agree with him or not about not coming. But he had several rounds through the years of being in the hospital. He spent 13 days once in the hospital. I spent 13 nights in a hospital bed with him, and he always pounced back. And I really thought the night that his heart went into that erratic rhythm that he would pounce back again, but it just didn't happen.
I understand that when some people are certain types of people are sick, it's not sudden death, and then they beat it again, and it goes on for
Mhm.
2 years or more.
Yeah.
You keep saying, well, he did it, don't worry, he's going to do it
Yeah.
again, and then
Yeah.
one day you don't,
Yeah.
and the
I
reality really hits.
Yeah,
You
he
know.
went into surgery that morning at 9 o'clock, and I'll never forget. I just kept kissing him, and the doctor looked at me and said, "Miss Morgan, we got to go. This is really urgent that we get in surgery now." And he's like, "Baby, let me go fix me. I'll be back." And it was a 4-hour surgery.
Yeah.
And by 1 o'clock, he was still in surgery. And I can remember going into the bathroom there in the waiting area and just hitting my knees and begging God not to take him, because I knew when come I knew by then it was not going to be good. And they pronounced him that he passed at 6:37, but probably was more like 4:37, something like that. But and I made the doctor let me go in to the operating room, and he adamantly didn't want me to go. And I said, "You look
Yeah.
back now," but emotion took over, and I thought I could talk him back. When I went in, the monitors were off in the operating room, everything, and he was gone. But for some reason, I thought I could. I begged him
Yeah.
not to leave me.
No, I get it. I get it. Again, there comes a point in all of our lives when it's the end of the show, and there's
Yeah.
no real. You can't really do it the way you want to do it. I mean,
No.
well, most people can't, but uh, hang
Yeah,
on a
we
second.
thought we thought we'd be the Notebook. We'd lay. I would be 80 and he'd be 95, and we just go together. That's because we love that, and
Yeah,
we would always talk about that. That's how it's going to be.
yeah,
We'll just go away together, and it wasn't anything like that.
yeah,
But I've gotten to that place now. Like I said, the pain is manageable. I am eternally grateful that man chose me for 22 years. He taught me a lot about life and love and children and raising adult children. And he was just an incredible man. And like I said, one of the greatest things I ever heard about him is one of the clients said, "It doesn't matter where you spend a day with Steve Morgan, a week or a year, you walk away a better person." And I think, how many people get that said about them?
right,
And that is true.
right,
He was an incredible person. And I can honestly say I woke up every day. Yes, I wanted to be a better person for myself, but I always wanted to be a better person for him. He made me want to be a better person. And then I flip it over now, and I can honestly say I'm a better person in a relationship than I am single, but I don't settle either. So here I am.
there you are. I mean, is it safe to say that he was a really good people person? Like, he was
Oh,
good with his workers and
absolutely.
all that?
He was his employees. He passed on a Wednesday night. That Thursday night, they wanted to have the staff, about 25 of them. We went to that Italian restaurant, and they told me, they said, we want you to come, but if you can't, you can't. And I could just hear Steve saying, "You go and represent us. You go and represent me." And I can remember, I hardly took a bite or two, but at the end of the night, and it was hard because I kept thinking I see Steve just walk into the room, because we ate there like 3 nights a week, and the staff knew us and they were coming by. "We're so sorry." And they were in shock, and as everybody was. But
Yeah.
I took the opportunity that I knew Steve would want, and I stood up, and I told each one of what Steve thought about him, which was good. He had a great staff. And I told him, I said, "I'm here tonight." I said, "Yes, Steve's gone, but I said, I am Steve Morgan's wife, still here, standing here tonight." And then the next day was Friday morning, and my sister and my ex brother-in-law, but they came and got me, and another person drove my car home. And I can remember I took a shirt of his that had his cologne smell on it, and I sat in the back seat of that car, and I cried all the way home for 11 hours.
Sure.
And I felt like I cried for 3 years there. And but I want people to know that lose people with parents, spouses, even children, life does go on. And if we live long enough, yes, it's life. It's just life. Like, if the world stands long enough, we all pass. And I've learned, instead of just being so sad, I've learned just to be now grateful and thankful. And I truly am. I am.
I get that. And again, I know that some people just have a better knack in dealing with people. Like I know, I used to say that because I have a very close friend when I used to play in a band many, many years ago with him. And he had a way to talk to, like, let's just take, for example, our sound engineer or something. And it's like, hey, you see that piece of crap over there? It's like, I'm going to need you to eat that piece of crap or something like that. And they go, oh, okay. I mean, the way he would say it, if I said it, I go, see that piece of crap over there? I go, you got to eat that piece of crap. And they go, screw you,
Yeah. I've actually seen Stephen like fire people, and they would shake his hand. They'd say, Mr. Morgan, I hope on the next job I can work for you again. And he'd say, hey, maybe we will. And shake,
Right.
it just never ended badly. And he was such a good boss. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't think anyone would dispute that at all.
Yeah.
And he had a knack for for making money. If the job bid it at X amount of dollars, he's going to bring it 25-30% over what the bid was. He was and he loved pipelining. He came from a pipelining family, and he loved what he did. And I can remember when we got married, he said, Kimberly, he said, when I work, I work, and when I play, I play, but I work 90% of the time. So I knew what I was getting into. I knew I was marrying into a type A personality, more stubborn than any man I've ever met. And but what an adventure we had.
I get this book, The Widow's Wishes, while you were writing this book, were you on any of the other 3 books or 4 books? Or
No, I wrote Sins, and then I wrote that one. And so that had been about 2015, because the Capo started in 2016. The trilogy I started writing then. So the Widow's Wishes have to be, it's amazing how fast life goes by. I have to look at the years. I get to thinking, then when I get to thinking about what did I write and when did I start. So the Widow's Wishes have to be 2015. And I actually meant to do a part 2 to the Widow's Wishes about dating life after someone passes. And I will never forget, as I started dating, and my daughter looked at me, and she'd been single, long married, and then divorced and single. And she said, Mom, you're going to have a lot to learn. And boy, I've never heard a more truer statement.
It's different when you get older. It's a different approach. Times have changed. It's a big combination. Hang on a second. Let's just do a little station break here. Kimberly is awesome. I'm getting the vibe of that. Kimberly is awesome. That's Brennan Huff. Must be what you got, a fan club, I guess.
I don't know, Mr. Brennan, but thank you, Brennan.
There you go. And then I got MCF Senior Shalom Shamatos Christosanasti. Oh, look, he's giving me the Christ has risen in Greek and a shalom at the same time. So it's like, he's an avid follower, and but the Shamatos, I know what that means. He's making fun of me. Let's see. Here we go. Look at this. Here you go. Go Nana.
That's
Nana.
my granddaughter. I am a Nana. Most people don't know that. That's my little clinical psychologist.
Yeah.
Yes, I am a Nana.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Nana's kind of Italian, isn't it, for a Nana?
I don't know. I just remember when I found out my daughter was expecting, and I said, I don't want to be Granny. That's a great grandmother name. I said, well, I'll just be a Nana.
Look at that! Look at that! Now they're coming rolling in. Everybody's getting the drift here. That's right. We like the comments.
I appreciate it. Now that's my daughter.
Oh, right there, hell of a lady you have there.
That's my daughter. That's my little wild child right there,
Wild
Miss
child. Oh.
My late husband gave her the nickname the Jessicator, like the Terminator. She was the Jessicator. So that is my child. Yes.
Wow. And where does she live?
She lives just outside of Tupelo, Mississippi, about 16 miles outside of Tupelo there.
Tupelo. Well,
yes.
I'll be done.
Birthplace of Elvis.
I know. Will. Sorry. Wow. And she likes it up there, I take it?
Yes, she is engaged to a wonderful guy. I really like him. And they came down last 4th of July, and I'm hoping they'll be able to come down again this year. They spent about a week with us last 4th, and they lived in the pool here. I don't know how much I got to see her
Yeah.
because they love the outdoors here because it was
Sure.
really nice to have them here.
Sure. It's like, hey, Aubrey, I'm interviewing your nana. Well, again, it's, life. I know, nobody's got I don't think anybody has the perfect life, but when you get a good piece of it that you're completely happy, because I got to tell you, since doing this show, I've, met and talked to a lot, and being in entertainment most of my life anyway, I talked to a lot of people, and from, oh, this town sucks, and every place you go, people think it sucks. But yet, if people go there on vacation, they go, oh, I had a great time. It was wonderful. I go, yeah, that's because you were there for 2 weeks, and I go, every place is great for 2 weeks. But, having the right person in your life, I think I envy that kind of thing, because I've seen people married 4 times and finally getting it right. And I'm going, I don't know how you survived the first 3, because, that'll kill you. But they've been married now 25 years, and they finally had they stuck to it and got what they wanted. But, it's not over till the fat lady sings, I guess.
I truly believe it is so true. In divorce, like I said, I was married to my daughter's dad for several years, and then we divorced, and we were just incompatible. That was all. And then I tell people I got it right the second time around. But I truly believe there's someone for everyone. And sometimes, yes, we make a mistake. I was young the first time, got married, planned my daughter. She was a planned baby, and she was the best thing ever that came out of that. And like I said, we were just incompatible. And but we've always got these core values in ourselves of things that we like in a person. And when we stray from that, then we got problems. We end up settling, or we get someone that we just 50-50 on. I have come to the conclusion, I'm not going to settle. I'm going to get what fits me, and then I will fit him. If I get it, fine. If I don't, fine. I'm at that place, because I'm not going to wake up in the morning and look over the left side of the bed and go, what have I done? No, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be I'm at peace. I want to be peaceful. I'm not a drama person, not putting up with the BS and the drama and the crap. We're going to be happy. In my next relationship, there's either going to be a wedding or there's going to be a funeral. One way or the other, we're going to get dressed up,
Right. Hang on a minute. Whoa, that's a hell of a. Can I quote you on that? It's here. Natalie says, "Love you, Kimmy. So proud of you." There you go. You got your fan club bell. Rooting you on right there.
Yeah.
I'm finding, since we're on relationships and stuff, as we get older, though, we get, at least I think, you start getting more selective, and it makes it tougher, because I think when you're younger, you're more tolerant to things. Like you can live in a, this or that, or you can live with a couple, with a roommate, or, and now it's like, I don't want that. I've never had that when I was younger. And now it's like, and you just, life changed. So I don't know. I'd love to talk to you about your select, going through the motions of trying to find another Mr. Right, but especially, for their own sake, so they don't end up on the wrong side of the funeral.
Well, I've got a 20-point checklist. And the thing about it is, I used to say, oh, okay, 19, get 19 out of 20. As I continue to age, I'm down, right. If I can get 15 out of 20, I'm pretty happy, and maybe, I keep going down and down. So right now I'm about at 15. 14, 15 out of the 20, I'll be happy.
Sounds like the DEI stuff. Now they're having to, they had to start changing, moving the goalposts, because it's going, maybe we set this, they're not going to make the academy. It's really hard. But look, it's tough. It's tough. And, and where do you go, and do you bump into somebody? I mean, dating sites are really kind of crazy, and they don't really work out. They really don't. No. Although I have met people that I've met on the craziest sites, but that's an anomaly. It's a unicorn, I think.
We have hope. Maybe.
And then there's you meet a woman, you start going to church, and it's all this stuff. And I'm going, yeah, look, I know a lot of crazy people that go to church. No, it is what it is. Let's talk about, let me talk about your trilogy. Can we do that?
Oh, yes, that's interesting.
Well, I do, because you got 3 books and you made a trilogy, and you also told me that, you got a screenplay in your head for this whole thing, right?
Yes, I am writing. I'm about halfway finished laying out a new book, but I'm feeling that I really need to at least write the screenplay for the first book. Mafia material does well. The fact that the Mafia books did well, and I tried to do a different take. It's not like The Godfather and some of the other ones. I tried to not get into that realm of just being another Godfather, whatever. And I love the Godfather movies, by the way.
Mhm.
And I think what really piqued my interest first is we were in Indiana, and we were in this Italian restaurant early one afternoon, about 4 o'clock. And we were sitting in the bar area, wasn't hardly anybody in there. But there were 5 or 6 guys in long black coats, fedora hats, older gentlemen, looked Italian. And I looked across the table, and Stephen was raised in Chicago from the time he was born to 15. And we were like 45 minutes from Chicago, Maryville, Indiana was. But I looked at him and I said, oh my God. I said, that's the Sopranos right there. And Steve went, shh. He said, that's the real deal. And about that time, the manager came out. It looked like they didn't pay for their drinks. It was snowing outside. They kind of put their hats on, the ones that had them off, and then they pulled their coats and scarves together and they walked out. And I just got really intrigued with the whole Mafia thing. And then I had a Facebook person that started. Stephen had already passed away, and that because I didn't start any of the Mafia books till after he was gone, and started inboxing me at night, as it reads in the first Capo's prayer. It appeared that he was Mafia, but he did not have a Facebook page with his real name. And he started feeding me all this information, and from that I created the trilogy.
Get out of here. How did he find you? And what was the link that said, like, I want to talk about Mafia stuff? And then it's like, oh, great, because I just happened to.
He found me through Facebook, and he had a Facebook page, and he started texting me. It'd be like 7 o'clock in Italy a.m. and it'd be like 12 something at night for me. And I wasn't sleeping well back then. It was like 2016. I still wasn't sleeping that good. And he just started talking to me. And as you start reading in the book, I never saw what he looked like. He could have been sitting in the basement of his family's house, but he had his Mafia knowledge down pat. And from that, like I said, I created the 3 books.
Okay, so this started before you even started your first book. He didn't see one book and then say, "Hey, I want to add to it for you."
No, it just, we had been talking online for months. And
how did he know? I mean, this was just casual conversation. Like he saw your picture or something and started.
Yeah, and then he started posting on my page these beautiful videos and music. And like I said, at that time, Stephen had been gone about a year and a half, 2 years. And like I said, I'm not sleeping at night. And I thought, well, it was a diversion. It was a nice diversion. And then it clicked in my head. I thought, wow, what a story. A Sicilian Mafia man and a Southern writer, and he found her on the internet, and that's how it came.
But the meeting though was just a Facebook by coincidence.
Yes, nothing planned. Just he found me on Facebook.
How did you come to? Because you said he's from Sicily or something like that. I mean, and then you said, "Oh, I want to write a book about that kind of stuff."
I don't know. I can remember telling him I was fast when he finally told me whether he was or not, that he was Mafia. And he said, I don't use my real name naturally. And he said, but feel free. I said, I've always been really intrigued and I'd like to write about this. And he said, well, go ahead. But he said, I never knew his real name. spent hours for about 9 months, just because sometimes I would ask him a certain thing. He said, no, that's not right. We don't do this or we don't do that. So,
How do you know he's really from Italy?
I don't
What happened to him?
know. Because when I started writing the second book, I just blocked him.
You blocked him? What do you mean?
It was just a little too much. It was just too much. Because I
You're turning
did.
red. You're turning red.
I did 2 podcast shows out of New York. And then the first one, he listened and he said him and his sisters listened to it and he said we loved it. Well, when I wrote the second, when I went to the second, it was 1 hour 1 week, and then the second week was an hour, and we got more off on Sins of the Midnight Suns. And through text, he got irate. He was furious that I deviated from the life and the mafia world, and that I talked more about that. And he had a temper. Even through text, I mean, he had a temper.
So how did you end up finishing and writing more books? I mean, without his help?
By then, I'd been schooled very well. Yes, it's an incredible story, and I will never know how much of him is true, how much is not. But it was an interesting time just listening to him. And there'd be nights that he would tell me, he said, I've got to go on a trip and you're not going to hear from me 5 days, 8 days. And I said, where are you going? I can't tell you. He said, I'll let you know when I get back. And so time would pass, 4 days, 7 days, and then I'd hear a ding, and it would be him. He said, I'm back. And so there's where the book started in book 1. He's watching the American Southern author, and he's liking her. And then he starts talking to her, and her husband has passed away, which there's another whole story behind her husband, how he was actually connected to the mafia. So, yeah.
Did you guys like verbally talk, or it was all typing?
All typing.
Get out of here. That could go. That's tedious.
It was interesting. And this is the first time I've ever told anyone how those books came about.
An exclusive right here, live on Life with Peter G.
Yes. You got it first. Yes.
Maybe nobody's asked the right questions.
I never would answer them. I
really?
had people ask, and I wouldn't answer. I would always usually tell them about the guys I saw in the Italian restaurant. It piqued my interest, and I did some research, and I let it go with that.
And how many years ago was this?
Oh, that was 2016 when I started working on the books.
And when did you finish?
I finished in 23, right before I moved to Florida, the last book. Yeah.
And no contact ever again? Never, just disappeared?
I can't say that he still doesn't watch my page or something. I don't know. But
or this show. Well, yeah. When he typed, did he type really good English, or was it felt like it was English?
It was a little bit tough. He actually even went, I've got a website, and he went online and wrote a little, and he said, you're always going to have my heart. And it was all, I had to translate it out. It was in Italian. And
he typed in Italian, you had to translate everything?
Yeah.
How did you do that? Through Google Translator or what?
Yes, Google Translator. And then some nights it would slip, and he would type Italian. Sometimes I said, what are you saying? And he'd go, oh, sorry, and then but it was broken English.
Okay.
It was broken. It wasn't, but I learned to decipher through everything that he said, and I could usually tell what he was saying.
Because I'm thinking to myself, what if it was like a CIA operative just wanting you to write a book on the mafia, and who knows? Crazy stuff like that.
Peter, if it was, what I got to say about that? Whomever that was, I got a best-selling book out of it. So thank you, whoever you are. Thank you.
Okay. I mean, because what's to say that he doesn't come back and say, someday I'm gonna ask you a favor, and
I'll have to pay up.
yeah.
Good fish.
You come to me the day of my daughter's wedding. Yeah.
Yeah.
As my friend from last week's show, New York Nick, he always just every time I try to get out, they keep sucking me back in.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what that's what that person told me. He said, this is not the life I wanted, but once you're born into it, you just simply cannot get out of it, and he said, this is not what I wanted for myself in my life. And, but he said, it is what it is. And he said, I don't like the things that I do, but, like I said, it was however I ended up with what I ended up. Like I said, I ended up with 3 great books, and you make a great series. Netflix, listen up.
Oh, so let's go back to that, the screenplay thing, because okay, let's say you had a bestseller, and that what happened to the company that called you at like 7:00 in the morning? You didn't go through them, did you?
They let me go with my contract on that, and I did self-publishing. So yeah, that was the end of that. They did biographies of like Britney Spears and the football players. That was their and they really liked the realm of knowing who and people were in the companies, and I just couldn't do it. My husband would have lost his job.
Okay, that was for the Sons of the Midnight Sun.
Yeah.
Stuff. Okay,
There was no way I could start do the tell-all book on that. And there was people, like I said, there's children back home. There's wives who had no idea what their husbands were doing up there, and I was not going to do that. So I wrote a book.
That company had nothing to do later on down the line with
No.
Okay. Because I'm thinking, like, if the book did really well, what the hell was wrong with them? How come they didn't like take you to the next? They go, we got this. We're launching you on this and that, because that's.
No, I have never submitted anything to another literary agent. I do everything myself.
How did you learn that?
To do it myself?
Yeah, because some people, that could be a big mental block right there. They're going, it's like, what do you mean you're going to publish a book by yourself? Who's going to care to even pick it up?
You do your research, you do your homework, and there's actually a list of credible agencies. But once I dealt with that one in New York, I learned that I like to stay in control of my work. And once you sign that contract, they have the control. You don't. They tell you what your cover is going to look like, what you can do, what you can't do, how long it's going to take you to write the book. You're on their timeline. I don't work that way. I work on my time. I do it my way. And I love it. And I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. I'm going to do my thing, and I'm going to do it.
Even if they said we're going to advance you $1 million.
Well, now if they did that, we might. I would have to say cheers.
I didn't say I'm not flexible, but
I can work with that. I could work with that.
Yeah, I'm willing to bend a little.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
Well, hang on a minute. You just got me. You're making me thirsty.
Yes. Cheers.
Salute. Yep. So, all right. So you took it upon yourself and you did that, and now you said you're working on something new now.
Yeah, I'm working. It's in Mississippi. Right before you get into Memphis, you're still in the Mississippi state. There's a small town called Olive Branch, and I am doing a book. It's called The Deacons of Olive Branch, because in the Bible, the olive branch signifies a lot of things, but I'm Southern, and I grew up in a Southern Baptist church all my life. My dad was chairman of the deacons for as long as I can remember. And being in church, we were there every time the doors opened. So I am doing The book is based, I mean, it's fiction, but it's 3 deacons in the Southern Baptist Church in Olive Branch, Mississippi, and their secrets, their wives, their children, the affairs. And so that's my next, and it's the hardest one that I've ever written, believe it or not, because there's so many moving parts to it. You've got a pastor, you've got other deacons. There's always usually 6 deacons in a Baptist church, medium-sized Baptist church. So my dad, I had talked to my dad about it before he passed, and he looked at me. And when I was a young little girl, most people don't realize I've got natural curly hair. I straighten it. But he called me Goldilocks when I was growing up because it was so curly. And then when I got to be an adult, he just cut it. He just called me Goldie all the time. And I was telling him that was going to be my next book. And he said, Goldie, that's not going to sell. And I knew then I had a good idea. Because he was like, no, he was so adamant that he did not want me to write that book. And of course, now he passed in 2020. And but he knew that I knew stuff. And
so you're pulling from the past.
Yes.
About approximately how much? I mean, how much did you know back then? I mean, and how much are you adding to?
The deacons' meetings that they would have once a month, the rule is that the deacons don't come home and tell their wives, children, anything. You don't discuss what goes on in a deacon's meeting. It's very, very quiet. But somehow, every once in a while, I would hear my dad telling my mom, a little something that was going on. And but just attending a First Baptist or Southern Baptist church in the South, you have no idea who you're sitting with in that pew, or who's sitting in there, or who's singing in the choir. And there is secrets layered. It's an onion. It's many layers. And I assume it could be Methodist, Church, Christ, anybody.
Yeah.
But because I grew up in that environment,
Right.
I've got a handle on it. I used to be the church pianist. I've had 8 years of piano lessons. People are like, really? You go to church? Yes. I am a woman of faith. I realize I'm a little irreverent at times, but I'm not religious. But yes, I am a woman of faith. I am, and I'm not ashamed of it. And I used to be the church pianist.
Okay, but I mean, okay, so when did you start writing that book, and how far are you into it so far?
Oh, I've had the idea in my head for years.
Sure.
And my daughter kept saying, Mom, when are you going to get started on that? That it's going to be really, really good. So since I've been here in Florida for 2 years, I've tried to do, like I said, I lay my books out and then I go back over and then I call it the coloring in. I make adjustments. I put the emotion in. So I've been about halfway through of laying it out. And, but because I work urgent care about 25, 30 hours a week, my mind is just gone by the time I get home. So, and if it's rainy and I'm home, I'll write. But if it's sunny and nice, I'm going to be at the pool.
All right. Well, we're into April here, so it will be rainy. It's coming. It's just a matter of time. So you might be able to get a month in. So how far are you into it now? And
I would say percentage wise, I would probably say about 60% finished. You can talk to any writer and they'll tell you that they're right. Even they may not be sitting at a computer or laptop, whatever. Your mind writes all the time. You lay down at night and you're thinking, and I know some things that I want to change, and it will change the dynamic of the book a little bit. I'm going to pare down some stuff that I probably don't feel really good about writing. I'm going to do it in a different way. It's going to be the same thing, but I'm just going to tell it a little bit differently.
This happens to me a lot. Do you ever get to the word, like, you get this great idea in your head? I mean, even in bed, I do. I think about a lot of stuff. I literally will get out of bed because most of the time, and the times I didn't, I regretted when I come up with something and you have to write it down because you say, oh, I'm going to remember that. And then you just flat out forget. How about you?
I have a pen and paper by the bed that's every once in a while I'll think of a one-liner, I think, that's good. I can build off that, and I'll because you're right. if I go to sleep, probably left in my head.
Sadly to say, I could think of something I need to go do, and I get up and 4 steps into it, I go, where the hell am I going? Where the hell am I going? Yeah.
Yes.
Stuff is changing. I knew I should have, paid attention in school, but yeah. All right. So, are you giving yourself you say, hey, I really want to have this book finished and out by 2020?
Oh, let's see. This is April. I would love to have it done by fall. And I may make some adjustments a little bit of adjustments in my work life here in the next month or so that will allow me some more freedom that I can really, because when I write, I will start at 8 o'clock in the morning and I might still be writing when you're asleep at night or when the world is asleep. When I write very hard. I write very long hours. So when I get determined to get it done, it'll get done. I'll get it.
But don't you have times when you sit down and say, I'm going to do this, and it's just not happening? Or, I mean, I've had those days where, like, I can't believe it. I just wrote or did this all the way through. But there's days when it's like, it's just not happening. I'm not going to force it.
Yeah. I usually know if I'm in the mood to write or not. And I think if I'm not, just don't force it. Because then you just end up writing paragraph after paragraph, and then you hit you block it out and hit delete, so I have to be in that mood. And I love music. I am a very music person. So I put my music and I find that very inspiring. And so when I turn my music on and then I just start writing, and I can turn around and I realize I didn't eat breakfast. I didn't eat lunch. And here it is 4:30. You've had 10 cups of coffee. Now it's, you need to go eat something and get up.
Yeah.
And because I get totally engrossed in it. And my thing is, if I make myself cry when I'm writing, then I know I make my readers cry. If I make myself laugh, then I know my readers laugh. So I do, like I said, I'm a true Cancerian astrologically. I am eat up with the romance, the love. It's just me. I've been that way since I can remember back 11 and 12 years old. I'm just a hopeless romantic, and I can't help it. And I've had a few people try to take that out of me, and I'm not happy with myself when I deviate from that core that's in me, the love gene.
I get it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's better than being a bitch. I mean,
I can be. Yeah, there's a few people too. She can be that too. Family probably tell you.
in all fairness, I think anybody can be if you push somebody's buttons. But I mean,
absolutely,
some people have a habit of, like, that's their natural aura, and who wants to be around that? I mean, but I mean, to me, it's like, if I need to be emotional and make myself cry, I just open up my statement on my bank account, and then I just start weeping immensely. It's like,
as we get older, it's amazing how certain things just don't bother you more. I was talking to somebody the other day at the clinic, and I said, I can remember being in my 20s and things that happens to me now. If it happened to me, I would have flipped out. I'd been angry, mad, crying. Now I'm just like, whatever. It's it's another day. It'll be okay. So things just don't bother me. I'm a little more patient than I used to be. I'm sure my daughter's left. She's watching. She's laughing at that right now. Wow. But my patience. I just, as I say, don't sweat the small stuff, and I don't.
Sometimes easier said than done, but in general, yeah, I kind of get it. I think that maybe as we get older, a lot of people I've talked to that's like, not having as much stuff, things that were important back then are not so important now.
Yeah.
And you really lean to appreciate the little things in life, like your health. Mm-hmm. You think you're bulletproof when you're young. You just, but it doesn't always work that way. All right. Time is quickly eluding us. And I want to at least put this up before I forget that, this is how people can find you and your books. If they you have your own website, correct?
Yes. Everything is on Amazon. Also, all my books are on Amazon.
Right. So www.kimberlyrmorgan.com, huh?
Yes.
Pretty simple right there. Can't argue with that. And I that's really weird that I always check out people's websites, and for some reason I completely spaced and didn't even look at yours, and I apologize. I know, shame on me. Well, I've never had a barrage of books like this. I mean, I always get a book. Normally, I do one person, one book, and when I talk to you, I don't know why, but my mouth just opened up, and I said, "Send me all your books.
Yeah.
Just send them all." Because they were, number one, you had the trilogy, but then when you told me about the widow's wishes, and they all sounded different, I go, I'm going to try to fit them all in if I can, and I think we kind of did that, which is kind of good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm proud of them no matter what they ever do or don't do. They were written with a lot of emotion, and I have accomplished what I wanted to as far as being a published author, no matter how it happened. And I still got a lot more in me that I want to write about, and hopefully I'll get to do that. I don't want time to run out just yet.
I'm just fascinated with this guy you're telling me that just like all of a sudden just disappears. That's kind of weird. He might be.
It was strange, Peter. It was most definitely strange and at times concerning. But like I said, if anything, then I got bestsellers out of it that went over in the European market and international. So it's okay.
I wish we had more time. I really would like to hear dating stories. I want to know if you're a weirdo magnet or not.
Oh, Peter, we could have a 3-hour show and then some on what dating has been like for me over these last years. Even though I'm not a serial dater, but
I'll take a couple of extra minutes. Can you give me your weirdest dating scenario or something that really was weirdest?
Let's see. I went out with a German guy, and I love shoes. People that know me love. I absolutely love beautiful, pretty shoes. And we were sitting in a restaurant. We're sitting across from each other, and I had my legs kind of crossed. He reached down under the table and he took my shoe off, and he started giving me a foot massage in the restaurant. And I was like, "What?" And I'm thinking to myself, I hope no one, this was in Tupelo at Fair Park, and I thought, I hope no one sees me. Well, it wasn't long. I had an inbox, and one of my sister's best friends, she said, "I saw you in the restaurant at Fair Park." And I thought, oh my God, no. But I've dated some very interesting people you'd be pretty surprised about. And I had a birthday party that 6 men showed up at the party, and they all were hoping they were going to get the last final rose that night.
It was the battle of the bands thing. It was like, yeah, duke it out. You should have a duke out. It's like
I had a cowboy there, entrepreneur, and a guy that drove 7 hours. Only to drive back home. I mean, I think he thought it was going to happen, but it didn't, and I haven't heard from him since. Thank goodness. But what a night that was! Because I had been home for my birthday in years, and Stephen had passed, so my daughter put out on Facebook, "Hey, we're going to celebrate Mom's birthday at the Blue Canoe," and
the Blue Canoe.
Hey. The Blue Canoe.
Hey, y'all come on over to Blue Canoe. We're gonna have a shindig. Oh, yeah.
Yes. So that was pretty interesting night. I see a few people every once in a while. I said, "Do you remember that birthday we're in?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I have a good friend, a guy friend, and he'd say, "I was and we're just friends, and he said, "I was the last one standing." I said, "I know." We shared food that night, and we had a great time, and he was just calm and cool, and everybody else was ready to go outside and fight, and he just sitting there by me like, "You guys go ahead." She's sitting here next to me.
That's the German guy. Was he wearing lederhosen?
No, that was the first time I'd ever had any interaction with a German person. And he had a great car. He had a Porsche. It was nice. And but for whatever reason, that just we stayed in contact a little bit after that. I don't like to date local because I don't want to be in the checkout line at Winn-Dixie and have Mr. So-and-so back there, cussing me out because it didn't turn out well. So I usually date out of state. But
that's long distance relationships. How the hell you make those work?
It's tough. I did date an Italian for a year in Arizona, and naturally that didn't work out. But yeah, long distance is a little tough. But I go into it thinking it won't always be long distance. I have the ability. I can move. I can live anywhere
Okay.
if
That's good.
if I chose, and they need to be work with me too.
I get it, but come on. In the beginning, dating, especially if you don't see somebody all the time, that's I don't want to be the doubting Thomas, but to me, that's like as great as it's going to get. I mean, you could hope that you're going to have another, relationship like you had in the past, but you don't know because it's only periodical. So to me, that's like, that's the excitement is there every 4 months when you see the person.
Yeah, you know, uh, and that's very true because I've had guys like if I date, I want to be able to see her every night or every
Right.
weekend.
Right.
And I never hold that against anyone. Um, I think for me though, like I said, I'm not looking for what I had the first
Right.
time around. I just I've been blessed with a second life.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking for that new adventure, a new person, a person that sees things different. They don't have to be like me. Teach me something, show me something, excite me. I don't like being bored. And I don't want somebody that's going to wear a baseball cap 24 hours. They got the cap they wear to work. They got the cap they wear on Friday night. They got the one they wear to church, but they take it off before they go in. I'm not a baseball cap girl. You wear it to the beach and that's it. So that's on my 20-point checklist. No baseball cap.
I wish do you have that checklist?
Yes, I got it.
Is it
You
close
want
by?
no, it's in
Yeah.
a drawer over here.
I would love to. God bless
I
you.
bet you would.
I would. I really would love to see that checklist. I mean, I'm just curious of what goes on behind, certain people's minds. Let me ask you again. We got to go, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't mean to get into the whole dating thing, but it is interesting. It's life after life after life and stuff.
Yeah.
The German guy. Did you guys go to Wiener Schnitzel?
No, we didn't. No.
How German was he?
What now?
How German was he?
Pretty German.
Like
Yeah.
accent and everything?
Yeah.
Oh
He
wow.
he was tall. I like tall men. He was tall. He was fairly good looking. And I think if I would have met him maybe a year or two later, but I was just newly dating and
Yeah.
it just took me like and in a restaurant and
Oh yeah, that's a little weird. Come on. Okay, how tall are you, by the way?
5'2".
5'2". Okay, so that doesn't make it very hard for any man to be tall.
Well, yeah. I like them 6 foot and over. I do.
Oh boy,
I-
6
yeah.
foot and over. I like him. I like.
I like a tall guy. I do.
Okay, all right.
Because
all right.
I wear my heels like on dates and things. I got some beautiful shoes, and
Uh-huh.
so when I put my 4-inch heels on or 5, whatever, I still want him to be taller, than me. I've written outwardly on Facebook what I like, and boy, did I get slammed! I got hit hard,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Me and him
I wish
like
I knew. I wish I knew about this list. I would really love to just go through the list. I mean, that is kind of a show within itself. Man,
Yes, it is.
You might be coming back on the show sometime early next year.
Sure.
Yeah, because that's interesting. I love to know how people think and what they want. And you're entitled to want whatever you want. It's your life, and
Absolutely.
some things may be a little bit, out of, I don't know, some of your requests may be not the norm. I have no idea, but I'm certainly curious. And I would have posted that list. That would be a great list. Damn it. All right. Listen, is there anything I'm going to say one more time to find more information on Kimberly R. Morgan, author, international bestseller with all these books. She's got that trilogy with Capo's Prayer right here, which one day might be a screenplay. She's got The Widow's Wishes, which is basically a true life story about her relationship, the good, the bad, and the ugly, but mostly good, and wrote about it. And then The Sins of the Midnight Sun. Living on the north, what do you call that? The north
slope of Alaska, above the Arctic Circle.
Yeah, what goes on over there beyond anybody, like anybody ever thinks about Alaska? But
Yeah.
there's a lot of goings on over there.
A lot of happening.
All right, do me one favor, say sweet tea.
Sweet tea.
You want some sweet tea?
You want some sweet tea, Peter?
Sugar.
Or you want some unsweetened tea?
There you go. Anything you'd like to leave my audience, and obviously you got a fan club watching too, or all the people for the future? Is there anything, if you could say anything that would kind of put that icing on the cake of who you are and what's going on with your life and what you feel is the most important, what would you say?
I think whatever someone's going through in life, no matter what it is, never, ever give up on a dream. If you give up on hope and dreams, you might as well be 6 foot under. I don't care what age you are. Keep dreaming, keep hoping, keep working at it, and don't let the world deter you from your goals that you want, from the life that you want. Don't listen to society. If you do, you're going to be miserable. Let your heart tell you what you should be doing sometimes. Don't get all wrapped up in what society's going to say. Who gives a flip?
Yeah. Who gives a flip? You just go out and drink the sweet tea.
Go have some sweet tea. Extra sweet.
Right,
Enjoy
extra sweet.
life. Just enjoy life.
All right. Speaking of extra sweet, I want to thank you for taking the time to be on the show.
Thank you for having me. This has been fun.
It has been fun. You're a plethora of information, a little bit more than I even thought I was going to get.
Oh, you have no idea. We just scratched.
Well, then I guess we might as well. We'll have you a book for early next year on the other side of you.
Okay. Who knows where I'll be by then? But
well, it doesn't matter.
Anytime, Peter. Anytime.
Yeah, I just need a couple of hours out of your schedule to entice our audience with your goings on. But right there, once again, to get a hold of and find out more, and her books especially on Amazon. But you can go to Kimberly, www.kimberlyrmorgan.com, to her website, and she's there. You can go write her all the love letters and all that. And let her pick and choose, and she'll send you the list and see if you can check it off. But let's see if we can find you somebody to suffice you feisty little thing.
Yes, I've been called a prissy ass and feisty. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
It's all good. That's a compliment, it's all good. Nobody, if you're just dull and boring, it's another battle.
I ain't never been called boring.
There you go. All right. Thank you. I love you, and wave to everybody, and we'll be talking to you down the road. And I hope you enjoyed watching the show when you get to watch it. If you get to watch it, it's a whole different perspective actually watching it than being on it. I promise.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was like, oh, all right. I love you. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Say bye. There you go. And there she goes. And where am I? I'm way over here. Hey now. Huh? How about that? Hang on a second. She makes me thirsty. Woo! That was pretty good, I think. She's got some interesting books, and they're easy reads. They're not like hard reads. She's right, and I'm not I'm not Evelyn Wood. I'm not a good speed reader, but she's got some good stuff here. And I do know a lot of people that are avid readers, and they could burn through a book a night and things like that. And I go, wow, that's there better be a lot of pictures in the book for me to be able to go through a book a night. But she's got great stuff, and then we got some insight on her. And God, if I should have started with the dating stuff earlier, but I wanted to get to the real stuff. But now she's got me all bent up on the checklist, because I'm just curious, like what makes a person, like the do's and don'ts, what makes your boat float. But we'll get to that in the future. I'm writing that down, and she'll be back. But I hope everybody enjoyed everything that we had going on for tonight. I want to remind you before we go, please, this is a good one. Next week, I want to remind you, Wednesday, April 15th, right here, comedian and philosopher is going to be on this show, Mr. Rodney Norman. It's going to be on this show. It's tax day, and what better than to lighten up your day with comedian Rodney Norman and philosopher. Maybe he will kind of help you understand why you're paying your taxes and feeling good about it. But that's who's going to be on the show, Wednesday, April 15th, comedian and philosopher in a freaking awesome kind of way, Mr. Rodney Norman. I like the guy. He's He's a trip. He's a real trip. But I mean, I've been watching him for years. He's been on this show before, and he's going to be back on for Tax Day, April 15th. So join me, won't you? Cool. I mean it. Oh, we got one more. Natalie says, great job, Peter. Thank you, Natalie. It wasn't me. It was Kimberly. I just ask questions. I'm just the middleman. The talent comes from within. I want to remind everybody, as I always do, because we talked about it with Kimberly, and to be kind. You know, life doesn't always go the way you want it to go. And especially, you know, we're going through some really weird times right now. They've got us all up against each other over political ideas and just life in general. And we're scratching and clawing to survive. And, you know, things can get kind of gnarly, and we lose our minds, and don't let that happen. Life is too damn short. You don't have to be an ass, but you don't have to take a bunch of crap from people either. There's a middle of the road there. I think the basic thing that I've been learning, especially since my divorce many years ago now, but it's not an easy habit to break, but take a second and think before you speak. Sometime it'll save you a lot of grief. I've gotten better at it, but sometimes it just the old you just comes out, you know, and it's God's honest truth. I'm just, again, I'm always honest with you guys. That's just what we get here. We get whatever comes out. So be kind. All right. It's that important. Sometimes, you know, you may say something that won't give you a second chance. So please do your best. And that's it. I'll see you guys next week right here on Life with Peter G, The Peter G Show. Please, 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 I remind you, if you liked what you saw, to share these shows with people, okay? And make sure that you that you hit the like and follow buttons. And if you're on, you know, even if you're, because this show will disappear 30 days from now. Facebook will not keep the live shows on catalog like they used to, because I guess they take up too much space. But on YouTube, so far they haven't run me off yet. And if you go and hit the subscribe button, then you can go back. There's over 400 shows with so many different topics. I'm talking about everything from, you know, children being abused to alcoholism to this and that. We got quite a collection, and some professional people that talk about these things, as well as me telling you things that I've experienced in life that I think is, you know, has a little bit of worth to it. So please, just go and check it out and hit the subscribe button. That's all I ask for you. If you enjoy the shows, go and follow, and that way you can get to the shows whenever you want. And during the week, there's some short clips and all that kind of stuff. But I love you guys for paying attention. I realize it takes a lot of time out of your life to do this. And don't forget, if you're busy and you're on the road, all these shows go to audio podcast. You put an earbud in your ear while you're driving. You just Google Peter G Show podcast, and you can listen to the shows. I'm a visual person. I love visual. But when you know, I try to make these shows to where they transfer over to audio to where you still get the point. Sometimes I play videos and it's kind of hard, but tonight was a perfect example. Everything that she said and that came out on this show can translate. Even if you didn't have the picture, you can close your eyes and still get the picture in your head. So please, don't think that you can't take the show on the road with you while you're exercising, while you're at work, because work is boring. All right? You can listen to the shows and just make believe like you're working and paying attention to work, but you're really listening to the Peter G Show. Thanks, Peter G. Anyway, that's it. My name is Peter G. I was getting ready to go, and then I remembered I needed to tell you that because I constantly get reminded. But thank you for watching Life of Peter G. Every Wednesday, like clockwork, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, and 9 p.m. on the East Coast. More than anything, God willing, because, again, we're not promised every day, as you know. All right? I love you guys. I truly do. Even when you give me hell, I still love you. I understand. I get it. We all have bad days. But for right now, all I can say is what I say every week. I love you guys, and peace out.
Peter G Show. Peter